Imagine receiving a letter that knows your darkest secret. Now imagine every single person in your town is getting one, too. In the late 70s, the town of Circleville was held hostage by an anonymous writer who seemed to see everything. Even when a suspect was behind bars, the letters kept coming. Who was the real shadow behind the pen? Today, we're decoding the mystery of the Circleville letter writer. Welcome to the USA Suspects. The idyllic town of Circleville, Ohio, was known across the nation for its annual pumpkin show and quiet farming community. But in the spring of 1977, an invisible observer began infiltrating the private lives of its residents. The primary target was Mary Gillispie, a respected local school bus driver. The first letter arrived in Mary's mailbox with no return address, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio. Inside was a handwritten note accusing Mary of having an illicit affair with the superintendent of schools, Gordon Massey. The writer claimed to have been watching Mary's house, describing her daily schedule with terrifying accuracy. "I have been observing your house and know you have children," the letter read. This is no joke. The letter demanded that Mary immediately end the alleged affair and confess the truth to the school board. Both Mary and Gordon Massey vehemently denied the allegations, dismissing the note as malicious gossip. Mary kept the letter a secret from her husband, Ron Gillispie, hoping the anonymous stalker would lose interest. But the writer escalated, sending identical letters directly to Ron Gillispie at their home address. The letters warned Ron that if he did not force his wife to confess, his life would be destroyed in the public eye. Ron confided in his sister and his brother-in-law, Paul Freshour, to figure out who was behind the letters. Together, they devised a plan to write letters back to the suspected sender, hoping to scare the writer into stopping. For a few weeks, the harassment paused, leading the family to believe the nightmare was finally over. But on the evening of August 19th, 1977, a single telephone call shattered that illusion forever. Ron answered the call, and within seconds, his demeanor transformed into pure, uncontrollable fury. He told his children he had to confront the letter writer, grabbed his .22 caliber revolver, and rushed out the door. Ron jumped into his red pickup truck and sped down the dark rural lanes of Route 56. Just a short distance from his home, Ron lost control of the vehicle at an intersection and crashed violently into a tree. First responders arrived to find Ron Gillispie dead behind the wheel. Sheriff Dwight Radcliffe investigated the scene and ruled the death an unfortunate drunk driving accident. But when Ron's revolver was recovered from the wreckage, investigators noticed that a single shot had been fired from the chamber. Why did Ron fire his weapon before crashing? Who is he confronting on that dark country road? The death of Ron Gillispie did not silence the writer. In fact, it unleashed an even greater flood of venom. Letters began arriving at homes across Circleville, mocking Ron's death and accusing the sheriff of covering up a murder. The anonymous author began targeting local elected officials, businessmen, teachers, and ordinary families. Every letter revealed intimate, embarrassing details: embezzlement, hidden infidelities, domestic abuse, and secret debts. Paranoia gripped the small town. Neighbors began suspecting neighbors. Friends turned against friends in suspicion. The writer seemed omnipresent, knowing what happened behind closed doors across the entire county. Postal inspectors and local police set up surveillance around mailboxes across Columbus and Cincinnati, trying to catch the sender. Yet the writer continually evaded detection, dropping hundreds of letters into collection boxes without leaving a single fingerprint. By 1983, the campaign of terror shifted into physical traps along local roadways. On February 7th, 1983, Mary Gillispie was driving her regular school bus route along Route 56. She noticed obscene handwritten signs nailed to roadside fence posts, directly attacking her and her teenage daughter. Furious and humiliated, Mary pulled the bus over, intending to rip the offensive sign from the post. As she pulled the cardboard sign, she noticed it was attached by string to a crude wooden box concealed behind the post. Mary carefully removed the box and placed it inside her vehicle, later handing it over to the Pickaway County Sheriff's Department. When technicians opened the contraption, they uncovered a fully operational lethal weapon. The gun had been rigged to fire point blank into the chest of anyone who pulled the sign from the fence. Only a mechanical failure had saved Mary Gillispie's life that freezing winter morning. Forensic examiners began scraping the serial number on the recovered .25 caliber handgun. The serial number was successfully restored and traced back to a surprising owner, Paul Freshour. Sheriff Radcliffe immediately summoned Paul Freshour for intense interrogation. Freshour admitted the gun belonged to him, but claimed it had been stolen from his home workshop months earlier. He stated he had never built any booby trap and maintained he had no involvement with the anonymous letters. Investigators had Freshour provide dozens of handwriting samples, comparing his print to the letters. State handwriting experts claimed Freshour's style matched the distinctive slant of the Circleville letter writer. In October 1983, Paul Freshour went on trial for the attempted murder of Mary Gillispie. The prosecution focused heavily on the booby trap gun and handwriting comparisons, while Freshour maintained his innocence. Freshour provided an alibi for the morning the trap was set, but his workplace records contained minor discrepancies. After days of deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict for attempted aggravated murder. Paul Freshour was sentenced to 7 to 25 years in state prison at the Lima Correctional Institution. Pickaway County law enforcement declared the case closed, assuring the terrified public that the writer was finally locked away. But the declaration of victory was tragically premature. In 1984, while Paul Freshour was locked behind bars in high security, the Circleville letters started arriving again. Hundreds of letters flooded the mailboxes of Circleville residents, Pickaway County officials, and even state legislators. The handwriting, tone, and format were completely identical to the original letters from 1977. To prove Freshour wasn't writing them from inside prison, the warden placed him in solitary confinement under 24-hour guard. Freshour was stripped of paper, pens, and visitation rights, with every piece of his mail strictly monitored. Yet while Freshour sat in complete isolation, hundreds of letters continued to be mailed from Columbus and Cincinnati. Then came the ultimate twist. Paul Freshour himself received a letter inside his prison cell. "Now, when are you going to believe you aren't going to get out of there?" the letter taunted. "We told you we would set you up." If Paul Freshour was the mastermind behind the letters, who was sending hundreds of them while he was in solitary confinement, Sheriff Radcliffe insisted Freshour was somehow smuggling letters out through other inmates or visitors. But prison officials confirmed that an internal investigation found zero evidence of smuggling or collusion. In 1993, the television show Unsolved Mysteries traveled to Circleville to produce an investigative segment on the case. Shortly before the segment aired, the production office received a threatening postcard postmarked from Columbus. "Forget Circleville, Ohio," the card warned. "If you come here, you will pay." The broadcast aired nationally, bringing the bizarre Ohio mystery into millions of living rooms across America. In May 1994, after serving over 10 years in prison, Paul Freshour was granted parole and released. Freshour dedicated the remainder of his life to maintaining his complete innocence and uncovering the real writer. In 2012, Paul Freshour passed away at the age of 70, with his conviction still standing on the official record. With Freshour gone, the letters gradually ceased, leaving Circleville to reckon with decades of unsolved trauma. Let us re-examine the case file inside the USA Suspects Investigation Lab to analyze what was overlooked. First, consider the booby trap sign on Route 56 that led to Freshour's initial arrest. A local motorist reported seeing a yellow El Camino parked near the fence post on the night the trap was installed. Paul Freshour never owned an El Camino, but other prominent individuals in Circleville did. Second, examine the handwriting analysis presented at the 1983 trial. Independent forensic document examiners later noted that the style was a deliberate disguise designed to mimic multiple hands. It is entirely possible that more than one person was involved in writing and mailing the Circleville letters. Third, what about the fatal crash of Ron Gillispie in August 1977? Why was his gun fired, and who placed the telephone call that sent him into a frantic rage? Phone company records for that night were never fully subpoenaed or made public by local investigators. Was Ron Gillispie lured to his death on Route 56 by someone he knew and trusted? Behavioral profilers describe the writer as a deeply resentful, organized, and socially embedded narcissist, someone who possessed intimate access to town records, personal relationships, and municipal gossip. This was not a random outsider. It was someone living, working, and walking among the citizens of Circleville every day. Today, the Circleville letter writer remains one of the most chilling unsolved harassment mysteries in American history. It represents a horrifying reality. the pen can be just as dangerous and destructive as any physical weapon. Decades of lives were fractured, reputations destroyed, and an innocent family torn apart by anonymous ink. Modern DNA testing on the preserved envelopes could potentially extract saliva residue from the stamp glue today. Advanced genealogical databases could finally unmask the shadow behind the pen once and for all. Until that day comes, the ghost of Circleville continues to haunt the annals of American true crime. What is your theory on the Circleville letter writer? Was Paul Freshour wrongfully framed? Or was he part of a larger conspiracy with multiple writers? Do you believe someone in local government or law enforcement was orchestrating the entire campaign? Here at the USA Suspects, we dig deep into America's most unsealed cold cases, conspiracies, and mysteries. If this deep investigative breakdown kept you on the edge of your seat, smash the like button right now. Share your theories and suspect profiles in the comment section below. We read and reply to your insights. We want to hear from the sharpest true crime minds in our growing community. Make sure to subscribe to the USA Suspects and turn on all notifications so you never miss an unsealed file. Send this video to a fellow true crime enthusiast who loves poison pen mysteries and unsolved cold cases. Your support enables us to continue unsealing historical archives and fighting for the truth. Check out the recommended case file on your screen right now to dive straight into our next investigation. Study the evidence, question the narrative, and never stop searching for the real suspects. The darkest secrets are always hidden in plain sight, waiting for the light to expose them. Thank you for watching and investigating with us today. Keep your doors locked, watch what you write, and always remain vigilant. This has been the USA Suspects, investigating the shadows. Case file, the Circleville letter writer. Unsolved and active. Join us next week as we crack open another classified American true crime mystery. Until then, keep looking into the dark, and we will see you in the shadows. The USA Suspects, investigating the shadows. Case file closed.